To me, it was delightful. Honest to goodness village. There were brick walks that the Village Improvement Society built. Then they had oil lamps on the streets. Nearly everybody in town had half to 1 acre of ground. It was just a delightful atmosphere. I still can't get over it. I still say, I'm going to the village. Everyone in Falls Church used to have a front porch. I would love to just sit on my front porch watching the world go by, or just being still.
Well, Jerry, we're here right at the crossroads of Route 729, also known as Broad and Washington, Leesburg Pike and Lee Highway, all kinds of names. But you may wonder why this is a front porch theme. Well, there used to be a lot of front porches.
I don't see any front
Well,
porches.
there were lots of front porches all up and down here. But you know about where a couple of them were. Where were some of the front porches that used to be right here?
I think I've heard of that there was front porches over here at Brown's Hardware.
There was a great front porch there, yeah.
They had a front porch there.
We have front pictures of Mr. Brown on his front porch there.
Do you really?
Yeah, and
Now,
where were some other ones?
Well, I'm not sure I even remember. Can you remind me of a few?
Well, there are some right over here where Four Ps is.
Oh, the Four Ps.
Yeah,
they have a little bit of a front porch.
They have
now.
a kind of a front
kind
porch
of a front
now.
porch. You can get something to eat.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the front porch they used to have.
No,
so,
but what they used to do on a front porch anyway?
well, I was going to ask you that question. Remember, I'm asking the questions you're answering.
I'm sorry.
So what did people used to do on their front porches, Jerry? In the business section.
In the business section, I think that people relaxed there, and that's a good place where they could meet other people.
Yeah.
Right, when they came to shop.
Right.
And so I think
they
that
smoke
people,
cigarettes, they play harmonicas.
In those
you
days,
know?
they smoked a
Yeah.
cigarette, and they wouldn't do that now.
Yeah.
And then they didn't they play musical instruments?
Backgammon,
Well,
too.
they would play games, and they would
right.
while away the afternoon on the
Right.
porches.
That's right, yeah.
And now
Sipping their moonshine and everything.
and that was what they did in those days. But
Well, that's good. So I don't see any front porches. I see
not
some
much.
patios now with some.
We have a few patios, but it really would be nice to bring them back. But
Yeah.
I guess I suppose they're gone. I don't know.
All of our restaurants should have outdoor dining at least.
At the minimum.
At the minimum.
At the minimum, the outdoor.
And so, but people don't really. You do see some people walking around here, but most people are what?
Most people are riding in their cars.
Do you see any cars around
I
us?
see a lot of cars.
A lot of cars.
I see so many cars that I'm actually frightened to be sitting here. To tell
How
you
many
the
cars
truth.
go by here every
I would
day?
count, if I stood here all day, I would probably count 57,000 cars.
57,000.
Right by this intersection, yes.
Yeah,
That's
wow.
pretty scary, and if just some of them would stop.
That would good. Do any of them stop here?
Occasionally they stop, like for example, they'll stop if they have an accident. That's one reason to stop.
No, we won't talk about that.
Okay.
But if they want to stop, is there parking around
There is
here?
parking.
Well, who
There's
would
lots
know
of
where
parking.
How would you know if there's parking
The
around
way
here?
you'd know there was parking is that you would pick up a brochure, which is a guide to this area, put together by the Chamber of Commerce.
Actually, by you. You did
Well,
it, Jerry. You just give
I
them
had
credit
something
for everything.
To do. I can. And the EDA, the
And you
Economic
give them credit for
Development,
everything.
I'm giving
But
them
you
credit.
did the work,
I
Jerry.
did a lot of work, and it's a great map. And there's parking all over the place. There's parking over there, and there's parking there, and there's parking. But some of it's behind buildings, and people don't know it's there.
Isn't there signage?
We're
How about
going to
signage?
be putting up. I'm glad you mentioned signs.
I am too.
Because we're going to be putting up signs, nice big signs that are going to say P.
Well,
which
there
is
already
for-
are. I've seen some.
Well, they're hard to find. These are
Right.
colorful, they're blue, they're white, they're beautiful, and they're going to, so people will know to stop. Because if you miss the turn,
Yeah.
you're in another county.
So if you're going by here at 50 miles an hour, you'll still see it.
You'll see it,
Okay, good,
even though you're
good.
supposed to be going 25.
That's right. Even though. And
Yeah.
as you're stopped at a interminable red light, you can
At
still
the
see
red
it.
light, you can
Okay, good.
you may see some of these people back here sitting
Okay.
here at these red
Well,
lights.
what are some of the shops they can go to? And we have some good shops down here
Oh,
in
we got some
downtown.
wonderfuls. Well, obviously the cornerstone is still Brown's Hardware, 125 years or something like that. There's the Four Ps restaurant. We've got Nash's Hair design over here.
Yeah,
We've
that's a
got
great
a
place.
bank down here, BB&T Bank. We've
Right.
got all sorts of places over here. We got a CVS pharmacy. We've got a camera, Dominion
Oh,
camera.
it's a great old-time camera store
Old-time
like you can't find anymore.
These are the kinds of
KH
places
Art and Framing is great.
you can't
Doodle
find.
Hoppers Toys.
Doodle Hoppers. These
Yeah.
are the kind of stores, if you go out to Tyson's Corner, forget it.
Yeah.
You're not going to find
Come
them.
to Falls Church.
You're
You get
gonna-
personalized service, right?
You get personalized service. You get the kind of service you used to remember that people talk about. They wish they could find.
Yeah.
Come to the City of Falls Church, and that's
and
where
sit
you're
on our
gonna
front
find-
porches.
And sit on the front
now,
porch.
when you're sitting on the front porches, we have some events here right in downtown, right where we're sitting here.
I don't believe that.
Oh, you
Huh?
do. You've been to them. In fact, you help out on. How about Watch Night?
Is that what happens on New
That's
Year's
what
Eve?
happens on New Year's Eve. It's
I
called
was
Watch
here.
Night. You were, and in fact, you were
was
helping
here.
run it.
I
Yes.
was here, and there was a tent right
There's
here.
a tent right here. We had some wild music going on.
There was great music, and I think I worked inside that place
and
there.
what happened in there?
We had a magician,
Yeah.
and he sawed off people's legs.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, it was fantastic. And we had a fortune teller
Yeah.
that could tell you anything
She
you
said,
wanted
"Go to a
know.
Chinese restaurant
She
and get the
said-
cookie."
That's right. Right. You're in the wrong place.
Right.
And that was wonderful.
And we
Watch
had
night
classical
is-
theater doing the puppet theater.
we had the puppet theater.
And then later
we
we had the bluegrass music. Remember Randy Barrett and the baritones?
bluegrass music. Out here there was an open trailer.
Yeah.
What do you
stage.
call that?
It was an open stage.
Open stage, and you could go up and you could sing. And
Oh,
you could do
karaoke. It was
karaoke.
karaoke.
You could do whatever you want. It was
I couldn't believe how many
wonderful.
people would make fools of themselves. It was
There were-
great.
and it was a wonderful
Yeah.
evening. It was really a terrific.
We had
terrific
African
evening.
dancing,
We had
African music.
up at the church.
We had
there was
mariachis.
we had
Little Sonny Warner.
yes. It was a wonderful. We do that here.
Every New Year's Eve.
Every New
and
Year's
it's the
Eve.
only free New Year's Eve open to the public in the whole metropolitan
I
Washington
don't believe
area.
that,
Well,
but
that's true.
that's okay.
It's true.
That is
It's
true. Okay.
And now there's something else that we've been working on. First Friday, every first Friday of the month.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I think you do because you've been working on it. You're on the committee.
That's the thing that's
That's
held
it.
on the first Friday of each month.
First Friday of every month. That's right.
Down
starting
here.
right at the dinner hour.
Right at the dinner hour,
Right.
and right in these businesses right
Yeah,
down
the
here.
first
Up
200
and down,
blocks.
200 block.
Yeah. Well, the first 2 blocks, 200
First
number.
2
yeah,
blocks.
You're right.
What do they do on
Well,
First Friday?
every first
I'm
Friday
glad
is
you
different.
asked.
Well, I should be asking. But and like 2 months ago, we had the world famous Little Sonny Warner performing.
remember that.
Gold
I remember
record
that.
winner.
Yes.
He plays in the Apollo Theater
Yes,
regularly and all
yes.
over the world. And he lives in Falls Church, and he did it with an R&B band.
Okay.
He had never played in Falls Church, and he lived here all his life. He's played everywhere around the world, but never Falls Church. So we premiered him in Falls Church.
That was on New Year.
Yeah,
That
on
was
February,
on,
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, and also
then,
on First Friday.
I was on First Friday.
First Friday.
And then last month, remember, we had Elements, that the Falls Church City
Council for the Arts
premiered their first show of 10 artists, and there were 100 or more people here in
Did I see something about that in the Washington Post?
Washington Post, and even more so the Falls Church News Press.
Oh yes,
Right.
yes.
And,
all the artists had this beautiful work,
Yeah.
and that place is that still open?
It's still open. It's packed. And for April, I know we're going to start a new event for that, including there'll be visual arts now. I mean, the painting and sculpture. We'll have music like we always have. But we're starting a new element to it, and it's going to be a film premieres of local filmmakers.
Do we have any?
Yes, we have a lot of filmmakers right
Would
here
you
in
be
Falls
one
Church.
of them?
Later, but
Later,
But the
okay.
first one's going to be Teddy Wyant.
Okay.
I know we're going to have Bob Burnett as some of his shows in here, and we'll have a whole bunch of other filmmakers. And in June, we're going to start poetry slams.
They're very popular.
Very
I've read
popular,
about them.
poetry
Right.
slams and open
Okay.
mics.
Open mics.
And in addition to, we'll have regular musicians performing.
hold on just a minute. Would you hold on just a minute because? Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry. It's just a truck going.
No, that was a Metro bus, because you can take the
Oh.
Metro bus into Falls Church and shop here,
Is it? It has stops at every street
Every-
corner in the
right
city
here
of
in Falls Church, yeah.
Every single street
right.
corner. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, we're only a few blocks from the Metro station. So.
And the metro station's up to.
So
Sorry
there's
to interrupt.
So there's
Yeah.
a lot of things we can do. You can bring your chair down, sit on the front porch right at the crossroads here. And we're going to build some front porches, but I understand they're going to build some other things. But
good
anyway,
thing, yeah.
sitting on the front porch, we're going to have a lot of fun sitting on front porches
Where's
because
the
we
sit-
know there's going to be more of them
There'll
in
be-
downtown
yeah,
Falls
yeah.
Church.
Be more than you ever.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Oh, jeez.
Nearly every street in Falls Church was arced over with trees. You walked under a bower. That's what made Falls Church so attractive.
Today, the tree we're looking at is called Amelanchier, and it's a native tree to this area, and it has a lot of common names that are quite interesting. We're seeing it right now at the very beginning of April, and the flowers are just about to come out. They're just beginning to appear. They'll be much bigger in a few days than you see here. The Amelanchier has a lot of different varieties. It can grow up to about 20 feet tall. Many of them have multiple trunks like this, and some of them have a single trunk. It has three basic names, common names we go by, and one of them is called serviceberry. This is the one most people know it by, serviceberry. And I only found out a few months ago why it was called serviceberry after doing a lot of research, is that since these flowers bloom generally after the last frost, and the ground is no longer frozen. Back in the old days, when people died over the winter, people couldn't bury the dead because the ground was frozen. But they knew that they'd have the burials for all the people who died over the winter when the serviceberry bloomed. So when the serviceberry bloomed, they knew they could dig deep enough, easy enough, and bury all the bodies of people who had died over the winter. So they called this the serviceberry. They'd have the service all at once for everyone who had passed away over the winter. Another name for this is called shadblow. Shad being a fish that runs up the streams on the East Coast, much like the salmon do on the West Coast. And they come up to spawn from the ocean, and people would know when to go down to the river to catch shad, because when the serviceberry or the Amelanchier would bloom, the shad would be running up the river. And one of the terms back then for the shad run was shad blow, because the water would be so turbulent when they were coming up. For some reason they call that a blow, like the water would be blowing. So they call this, that when the shad would blow up the river, this is when this tree would bloom, and so other people call this the shadblow. So we had serviceberry and shadblow. A third common name for this is Juneberry, and as you can tell by the name, it has its berries in June, and these are not only edible, they're delicious berries that come in June. They look like a blueberry, and you can just pick them off, and they're just delicious as is. You can make a great jam out of them. You can add them with ice cream. You can put them in pies. And it's been a lost edible art. Now, another purpose we're using the serviceberry for now is along the streets. We're planting them as street trees because they can be planted under the wires. You don't want to ever plant a tree that will grow large and have big, thick branches where there are street wires, electric wires over the street. So all around town, we're planting serviceberries up and down street, such as along West Street. A number of years ago, we planted these serviceberries when a person living along West Street passed away, and these were all planted in her honor, Karen Peel. And we're now planting them through the neighborhood tree program up and down. So you're going to see a lot of serviceberries. And in June, if we have enough smart people in town, you're going to see a lot of people picking the berries. So we have a serviceberry, we have Juneberry, we have shadblow, and they all tell us a little bit about our environment around us.
Uncle George used to take me down to Mankin's Notions and Dry Goods, a corner store at Broad in Washington, where the office building is now. She always had candy, which was something we couldn't have at home. It was a great treat for me to go to Mrs. Mankin's store and have those marvelous penny candies. Uncle George used to carry me down to the store and get them for me. Mother didn't approve, but he did it just the same. I enjoyed it.
Well, we're at one of the main gathering places in Falls Church, Ireland's Four Provinces restaurant, right near the crossroads of Route 7 and 29 in downtown Falls Church. Let's go on inside and see what we got.
Hey Dave, how you doing? Welcome to
Dave
the Four
Eckert,
Ps.
and you are
Justin Houlihan. How are you?
Houlihan.
Nice to see you.
So you're the owner of this place?
No, I'm not. No, the owner actually is off today, but our owner is Christy Hughes.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Nice
Yeah.
guy, funny guy. Yeah.
Yeah?
He'll be here this evening. Every weekend night he's always here.
Well,
so.
we'll have to come back tonight then, won't we?
You will, yeah. We won't be. It won't be as casual as now, but
Right,
come
right.
back, no problem. You're more than welcome to do so.
So tell me, what's the official name of this restaurant?
Ireland's Four Provinces.
And where are these four provinces?
Ireland as a country is made up of 4 provinces, in which you have 32 counties. It's kind of mixed.
Okay,
all
so
mixed
you're,
up.
you're all covered here.
All covered, we're all
Every
covered.
person from Ireland feels good when they come in here. Is that right?
We'd like not just from Ireland. We'd hope that the locals will be too.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, for the most part, they're
Right.
all comfortable enough, I think.
Okay, great. Well, is this your first restaurant?
Actually, it's our second. Christy opened first in 1991 in the Four Provinces on Connecticut Avenue, down near the zoo downtown.
Right.
And we opened up here on January the 10th, 1997. So
Ooh.
we've been 6 years, almost, just over 6 years.
Well, you know, this is interesting because the spot you're in was supposed to have been jinxed because every other restaurant that's here didn't do quite well, and so everybody said it wouldn't. And then you guys moved in, and from what I understand, tell me if I'm telling you the truth, that from the very first night you opened, you have done very well every single night.
Yeah, for the most part, we've been busy since we opened. but
I heard that
think,
from a very good
I think,
source.
I think that jinx has been covered by the luck of the Irish. at this
And luck
stage,
of
to
the
be honest with
Irish.
you. So
No,
no, we've been very successful, thank God, and long may it continue. So.
Well, we're here at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on purpose because this is the only time we can come in and get your attention.
This is the quietest time of the day for us, so yeah, it's a good time for you to come by. If you're here in another 3 hours now, it might be a little different story.
That's right. Well, this is a great place. I've been here many times. In fact, don't come here just to eat dinner. Come with a lot of groups and actually have meetings here, and a lot of city functions have been held here, and this is a great place. Can we, I've ordered quite a few things here, even though I'm vegetarian, mind you. But let's look at your menu. I
Yeah.
want to see some of the things.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to know, what's it like going to an Irish restaurant?
Oh, I guess the difference for us is that we just like to put a little bit of the Irish charm and character into it. I guess.
What's with this Irish charm? I have a little Irish. I wear green, I noticed, but
I know,
but I have
and
a-
I'm not, so.
Okay, well I have a little Irish in my blood. But what's this Irish charm stuff? What do you do?
Basically, we've made the menu. It's kind of American, but with a big Irish influence on it. Some of our favourite dishes here, obviously, shepherd's pie, cottage pie, fish and chips. We have Irish mixed grill, which is almost like a hard egg on a plate, but it's good stuff. We have bacon and Kilcannon, which is cured Irish ham, which we import from Ireland, and also our baked breads. We import all the ingredients from Ireland and we bake them here on premise ourselves. So we have a good Irish
What is
influence
this?
on it. And
Whiskey chicken. What's it?
Tullamore.
Whiskey chicken Tullamore.
Yes,
Whoa.
Irish whiskey, Tullamore Dew it's called. We add that into the flavour of the sauce and just put some breast of chicken with it, and you got a good dish right there.
And was
So
that
it's-
other? Does that say Gaelic steak or garlic
It's
steak?
Gaelic steak.
Gaelic
It's
steak, okay.
again, it's a New York strip flavour with an Powers Irish whiskey sauce. So again, kind of incorporate all the Irish liquors and whiskies into it. So keeps the folks happy. At least when they're going out, anyway.
Okay, and
I don't know about them coming in, but when they're going out, they're nice and happy.
now there's a soup that's really, really, really popular here.
Yeah, probably the greatest seller on our menu is our blade on leek soup. Again, we made in-house. It's from a traditional Irish recipe, and we can't give the stuff away. It's unbelievable. It's the amount of stuff we go through. It's functions, parties, house parties. People pick it up. You can get it to go. Plus, we sell a lot in-house as well. So.
Well, you know, we have one of the most successful New Year's Eve celebrations in the whole region because we're the only, Falls Church has the only free New Year's Eve celebration.
Right.
And one of the drawing points is when they come here, if they're on the at the outside of the restaurant, you have these big, unending bowl of the potato and leek soup.
I don't know about unending, but yeah.
It's remarkable, and even though you're totally packed in here on New Year's Eve, absolutely, you can't get another person above the fire limit, of course. You know, in here. But on the outside, we draw in thousands of people, really, to come to here to eat your potato leek soup.
Yeah, since the first night started, I think about 4 years ago or so.
Five. We've
Five
got
years, five of them. We've on the colder occasions on New Year's Eve, which we've had a few, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
The potato and leek soup goes down very well with the people coming to participate at the
Even
crossroads here. So.
Even last year when it was warm,
Yeah.
they couldn't keep you. You were constantly flowing
No,
out.
it's good. No, it's good,
Yeah.
and it's no trouble to us. We, as I say, we try and participate as much as we can with local stuff, and the first night's been great for us too because we generate a lot of business from
Watch
people
night.
coming in.
We call it
Watch
Watch
night.
Night.
Okay.
First night has a logo.
I
For
got it right.
copyright. Watch Night. Let's go and see your restaurant.
Yeah,
'cause this is,
come with me.
Again, remember, right now there's not many people in here, but at 5 o'clock, all of a sudden it's going to be jamming again.
Yeah, typically it's busy from about 5:30 after business hours in the evening time. Today being Friday, obviously it's our busiest day of the week.
Well, I came in here on a Tuesday night at 11:30. Tuesday night at 11:30, and the place was packed.
Yeah, that's a common occurrence too. Yeah, so it's great.
Well, here's one reason people come here. I mean, the food, of course, is spectacular. But here's one reason, is right here at the stage. It's empty right now.
Empty right now. What
Empty
about?
right now. But not tonight, or what nights of the week do you have?
No, we do traditional Irish music, ballads, mostly made up of local groups, but we have a lot of people coming from Ireland who live in the area, and we play music Tuesday through Saturday nights, beginning at 7:30 on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, then 8 o'clock on a Friday and Saturday. So it's not overpowering the music, but it's nice to be able to come in with your family, have a meal.
I found I can have
listen.
a conversation and enjoy the music too.
Exactly, that's the whole aspect of it. It's not just to come and sit down, watch the music, and then go home. It's the whole atmosphere of it, so it's really, really good, you know.
And what's this pub quiz?
That's a 20 question general knowledge, and it's on every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock. And it's turned into a great event. And we got initially it was done in the bar area only, but it's got so big now that we normally have 50 to 60 teams in it. Every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, people come down, have something to eat, and then they answer the questions, which are they're tough. She makes them tough.
So what do the winners get?
The winners, we give out gift certificates, brunches to the 4Ps. We give out some of our polo shirts and aprons and stuff like that.
I'm going to have to come and win that. Let's see. You have a lot of waiters here and a lot of waitresses.
Yes.
Now, they seem to have accents.
Some do. Broken English, as I call it.
Okay.
No, we do. We have a lot of our wait staff are local. Actually, most of them, their parents or family have come in here and asked them, "Can I get a job? Can I get a job?" So, again, made up of mostly locals, but we have a few Irish people here who have come over, have been in America maybe a while, and we've hired them here, and it kind of adds to the mix. And I think a lot of our customers enjoy the fact that somebody Irish comes up to them in an Irish restaurant.
Well, where are you from?
I'm from just outside Dublin, a town called Naas, County Kildare.
Well, we have all these beers and all these Irish types of drinks. So,
heaven back here, isn't it?
Yeah, this is heady stuff.
It is.
Well, one of the best gathering places in the whole region, Ireland's 4 provinces. What's the address here?
105 West Broad Street.
105 West Broad Street. Well, thank you. Okay.
I loved going to the village. Everybody knew everybody. I would say, "Hello, Mrs. Brown," or "Hello, Mr. Hawkshurst," and they would all know me and my kin.
Hey, Mr. Lanier, how you doing?
Nice to see you, Dave.
Thank you. Come on out. Let's have a talk about the Lanier place.
All righty.
And horses and
Okay.
places to ride horses. So you got some pictures. Can I see one of them?
Yeah, well,
Oh, that's a good
when
one.
you're talking about horses, that was my pride and joy. That surprise.
Well, before we get to all these
Yeah.
horses now, let's talk about a couple of things. Now, you
Okay.
told me earlier that you were born down where National Airport is, right at the base of a 4-mile run where it comes into the Potomac.
Right.
So when did you come to Falls Church?
We came and this old place, my folks bought it in 1938. So we really moved here in 39.
Okay.
I was about 7, 8 years old.
So was this the first house they looked at? Or?
First house, well, there were a couple, we were looking for something where we could have the ponies and horses and so on. So there was a spot up at George Mason High School, an old farmhouse there.
That's from the 1700s, right?
Yeah, that was an old one. And then there was a store up here at the end of Broad Street and Parker.
Or was it West?
West Street.
West, where the
Broad Street
carpet
and
place is.
West,
Where the
right.
carpet place is, yeah.
And then my mother fell in love with this old place. It had 10 acres.
Uh-huh.
Went all the way back in the back past Spring Street and down.
Down
and
to
then
Ann Street?
all the way to Ann Street.
Wow,
just
that's a
about.
long way.
Well,
That's
it's and it was pretty grown up too. It took a lot of clearing and doing and so on.
Bet you wish you had all that property now.
Well, we couldn't pay the taxes.
Yeah, right, yeah.
So anyway, we had that, and we started out with one pony here, and it grew to many more, and it just was a fun place to grow up in. But
Now, when was this house built, do you know?
when we bought it, we thought it was built in 1840. But in doing some in the last year or two, we've been talking to Rick Turman, I think his name is.
Right,
here,
yeah,
and he says his studies shows that it really goes back to about 1813.
So there's so many different parts of the house.
Right.
Probably different parts were built at
Right.
different times.
Originally, there were 4 rooms down and 4 up, right in the middle of the house here.
Okay.
And then these ones on the end, we think maybe that end was probably added at the turn of the century, and this was probably quite old in the back here.
Okay.
So different areas, a lot
Yeah.
of changes, and it didn't look anything like this.
Well, a lot of different architectural styles that it went through, and it went through a lot of different styles.
Yeah.
Now you have some pictures here.
Yeah.
Now it was. Can I look at a couple of those?
Yeah.
That there's so. Part of it looks, it started with like whatever the 1813 style was, but then it was built out more Victorian at a later area.
Yes.
It has with a wraparound porch, the bay windows coming out there.
The original, you came in from West Street, and there was a door there, and we had a door here. Most of the time, this is the door you use. This was to the more formal living room. We didn't do much of that. And when we moved here, of course, there was no central heating or anything like that in it. So over the years, my mother, who was really the one that was behind this, decided, she had a picture of Mount Vernon. She said, "Oh, I'd like to have this thing."
Okay.
And that's how we've
Because that doesn't look like
taken the
Mount
photo.
Vernon at
Doesn't
all.
look at- and my wife since you had a nice old farmhouse, and you
Yeah,
would,
yeah.
and you made it this
Yeah.
other thing.
So you have an interim
But,
picture here,
yeah,
don't you?
This happened. This was in 1938.
And that's you.
There I am at about 7.
And do you still have that car?
That was my dad's pride and joy.
bet you-
1935 Chrysler Imperial Airflow.
Ooh, wish you still had that.
Passed everything on the road except the gas station.
Yeah. Whoa.
And it,
8 gallons to the mile, right?
Oh, if it got that. It had freewheeling and all of that stuff. I think the problem with that car was it just came out about 25 years too early.
Yeah. So this is, you're starting to look a little bit like Mount Vernon
Now,
there.
this is when they put the dormers on the top.
Okay.
We don't have the cupola on it yet.
Right.
This would be in the 40s.
Okay.
The attic burned, and we had, from a stove that was in the back, we had potbelly type stoves,
Okay.
and it got caught in a chimney. And when they raised the roof about 5 feet, put the dormers on, and then later on we had the cupola.
okay.
And then this was added. It wasn't in the original. This was, and well, my grandmother lived here, used it as a kitchen and so on. And then here's the old spring house, which we still have here today, and that's probably the oldest piece on the property.
So in one of the pictures, you have a pump.
Yeah.
And is that where the spring house later
No,
was?
well, this pump is on the porch here at the back.
It's still
Comes
here?
In. No, it's,
Oh, yeah.
it's been bricked over.
Oh,
We don't
okay.
have it. We still
Okay.
have well water here, though, and we had to drill a well in the backyard that
Mm-hmm.
goes down about 114 feet, so we have great water.
Wow. Now about these pillars, or do you call them pillars? What do you call these?
Columns
Beams,
or
columns?
pillars, yeah.
Yeah. When were those put in?
That was done in the 40s.
Okay,
Most
so-
all of the renovation
Okay.
was done. The heating system got put in about 47 or whatever.
Okay. So these really make it look like a,
And that's
you know,
yeah,
Mount
that
Vernon.
really does it.
Now you mentioned West Street, and you mentioned this was built in 1813. You said something like you're the third owner of this house, your family.
Yes, what we're finding that original this property was owned by the West, who apparently were real estate people in Alexandria, and it passed down through their families to a daughter, I believe, who sold the property to Levi Parker here
Okay.
in Falls Church, and then from Parker, from Levi, passed to his son Henry, who was living in California at the time. So my folks bought it from him.
So we have West Street,
West
we have
Street,
Parker Street and Parker
Parker.
Avenue, and we have
Now
Lanier
we have-
Place.
Now we have Lanier Place.
So there's a street
Yeah.
named after every
Right.
family that owned this
That's
place.
right.
Now, you had 10 acres. Now, there was a stream down here, which I guess you didn't have a name to, but tell me, describe what that stream looked like.
Well, it was just a little old stream, which we as kids like to go down and get the tadpoles and
Yeah.
worked on it. My mother dug a little pond down there where we had mallard ducks and so on.
great.
Of course, we've had everything from skunks to
Yeah, of course, yeah.
goats to cow and
That's
horses at this place growing up.
Now, horses.
Yes.
You're known as the last horseman of Falls Church.
Yeah, I guess so. There were only 2 or 3 of us that were really in Falls.
So
Church
you
at that
owned
time.
horses from the time you actually brought some of your horses.
We bought a pony here. Tony, named
Tony-
after Tom Mix's pony
Oh,
back in
okay. Tony the pony.
Tony, yes.
And then you had, how many horses did you ultimately have?
Well,
or
we've had
ponies?
5 or 6. This Surprise, which was my pride and joy, I've run 150 ribbons, I guess, with her over the years. She was a great hunter. And she had 2 foals. And then we had a thoroughbred racehorse for a while, and this sometime. And then we probably gave them up in about the 70s. It was just getting too tough to have them here in the city because you never knew when they were going to get out. And in fact, my pony was killed here on West Street. And so,
Well, and now how did you care for a horse here? Because this wasn't big horse country. I guess Bob Harmon and Henry Sims Blacksmith Shop
Yeah,
over
we
by
would-
the Episcopal Church closed in '57.
right. Okay, we would walk the ponies down when it was time to get them shod and
Okay.
so forth. And we many a time go see him, and he handled it. Although in my later years, I got older, I did some of that myself. I never put shoes on them, but I used to
Yeah.
trim the hooves and do that. You just learn.
Well, tell me about riding the horse around here. I mean, you had
Well,
10 acres and then sold 7 of them.
That's right. We sold 7. We had our own show ring we fixed up here as we cleared it all. But I rode all over West End. There was all up on the hills here, across up Allen Avenue and up through that thing. It was just a really neat. There was not much up in this area.
Did you
so
have a
could
fence
ride
all
of-
around your yard?
We had about the 10 acres. We had fence all around.
Okay.
Yes,
Did the horses ever get out?
Oh yeah, they were out quite often. We would get calls at my ponies up at the West End here, looking in the shop windows at 2 a.m. in the morning. We'd go get them and so on. So, but most everybody knew that the ponies were here when we were. I went to Falls Church High down on Hillwood Avenue, and as a freshman, I guess I was a sophomore, and I'd be sitting in the looking out, and somebody say, "Billy, there goes Tony up Hillwood Avenue." So I'd have to get out of class and go home and take him home. But it was kind of a fun thing. You could do it. My brother used the pony to deliver papers here.
What, the Washington Star?
No,
or-
well, he had the post. I delivered the
So he
Washington Star.
delivered the post by
He
horseback.
did by the pony, yes.
Well, did you ever deliver mail like the Pony Express?
No, we
Okay.
didn't do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Well, this is quite amazing. So now, what did you keep your horses in?
Well, we had a stable here that had, and we also had a barn. the barn, and we had a cow also. That was
Okay.
back in the 40s.
What was the cow's name?
Oh, golly, I don't know.
Okay.
That's been a long time ago. I was a little boy.
Yeah.
But I know that they made the butter here, and they'd get the garlic in it, and it would be terrible
Oh,
in the
really?
springtime, you
Oh.
know, when they get
Okay.
it.
Well, you had
And
the
that
Eggman right near you,
and
didn't you?
then Mr. Roberts
Yeah.
lived up on the hill, and I worked for him and helping with these. He had the brooders that went down West Street, and he had 10 acres. His
Okay.
10 acres went back, and then we had 10, so that was 20 acres that went all the way back through there. So,
Oh.
yeah, so anyway.
Now, do you remember the church that was right up here? St. James Church was right here.
Well, they had the cemetery is there, but I don't remember a church. I
That was
know
probably a long. That's right. They tore that down in the 1890s.
Yeah, I think they was.
Okay, a little
yeah.
before
Yeah.
you were here, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was all up the street away, a
Okay.
few blocks. Yeah.
So, do you ever ride any horses anymore?
No, I don't. I guess since the last, probably 1970 is the last I really have done anything.
Tell me, do you remember your last ride here in Falls Church?
Oh golly, no.
Okay.
No, it was. What we were when in the horse show season we were gone every Saturday and Sunday in the summer. You know, riding, going all over, up to Warrenton or out to Meadowbrook and into Maryland and different and that type thing. So, Percival did a lot of showing there. And
Did you ever ride your horse right downtown?
Oh,
Down to Brown's Hardware
oh,
Store?
of course.
You'd ride your horse to
Brown's
Brown's
is one of our favorite places.
And you,
We had, of course, when I was in high school, that was Ware's Drugstore was across from him, and
right.
after school, that's where everybody hung out. And when I grew up, we didn't have this TV and so on. That was coming into vogue
Yeah.
in about 45, 6, and no, not back then. So what we would do, either riding horses or out playing one knocker or baseball or something and doing that. And but I rode the horse all over, the ponies all over the city, and then the fun things would be to go down on Saturdays would be the double features and stuff at the Lee Theater in East Falls Church, and you'd walk down the tracks to it and come out. So, and they had the serials that ran every week and so on. So that was fun times.
well, thank you. And
Yeah.
yeah, maybe one day we'll get back to the one horsepower engine again.
No, that's okay.
Bill, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Thanks
This
for
will be fun.
seeing us at the Falcon's Nest. We appreciate
Yeah.
it.
I heard music everywhere in town. A lot of folks had pianos and other instruments in their homes, and I could just walk up and down the street and hear people playing pianos and violins and singing. Some fellows were always sitting on the front steps of the stores down by the crossroads playing harmonica. Of course, there was music at church on Sundays and Wednesdays. A band always played at town picnics. One of my favorite things was dances at the Oddfellows Hall.
Been so long since I kissed you goodnight. The blue are mine.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there really is music everywhere in Falls Church City. Today we're here at Fox's Music Company in Falls Church, and we're with little Sonny Warner. How you doing, Sonny?
Fine. How are you doing?
Thanks for coming
Yes.
over. It's a pleasure to meet with you and talk with you and learn your background and about some of your music and where you were raised.
It's a pleasure being here.
Tell us about Falls Church, and when were you born? In
October the 3rd, 1930.
1930. 1930. Tell us about Falls Church in those days.
Well, Falls Church in those days, we was young and just having good times, and got up a group.
Now,
Sang, well, we did try to sing.
Now, this was your first group, wasn't it? This is the Four Sons.
Right.
Made up of two sets of brothers. This is
Right.
Sonny and his brother and two other brothers. Now,
Right.
this group formed at the First Baptist Church of Falls Church, right?
Right.
First Baptist Church at Falls Church. Okay, tell us something about the first group. Can you tell us about your music and getting started?
Right. So when what do you mean the group?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we went sang and we went to New York and to sing on Arthur Gartha's Telescope. So that didn't work up. So we wound up in Atlantic with Van Walter. I knew everybody knew him, piano player, and we cut a song there. We cut "Open My Door, Baby" and "Big Leg Mama," and and the name of the group was named then the Five Rockets.
Right.
Yeah, that was the name of the group then. They gave the name. That's what the Atlantic gave it.
Now, was that your start in show business? And
Right. That was the start in show business. Right.
and where was your first performance?
My first performance is at Forestville, Maryland.
Forestville, Maryland. Sounds like the
Even-
fire department.
Isvin Grill. Everybody used to go.
Is that right?
Everybody.
What was the name of it?
Ivan's Grill.
Evans Grill?
Right.
All right, in Forestville, Maryland. Tell us about your big start. Tell us about Lloyd Price.
Well, I started out with Lloyd Price as the valet. And flew around there, and we wind up at I think I met a guy on a big show with him, and when he went to Apollo Theater in New York. So he we went someplace else, but I didn't sing. But he had got line giants, and he told me, he said, "Sonny, go out there and sing a couple of tunes there until I get myself straightened out." So I went out and I opened my reach. Well, I got a woman. And I did the "Talk to Me" down on Louis John. So people, got it pretty good. And I said, so when it gets back, and then he went out. So when he went out, then when he came back, then I'm standing there wiping him off.
Right.
So this guy come by and said, "Hey, wasn't that you out there singing?" I said, "With me out there making that noise." He said, "No," I said, "he should be wiping you off. Still you wiping him off." I said to myself, "Don't make me blow my job here, Dad."
Tell us about some of the people you played with here in Washington, D.C.
Well, I played with a lot of people. I played with Little Teddy, Little Walking Willie, Ambrose. And
Did Lloyd Price come to Washington?
Right, that's where I met Lloyd Price.
I see.
I met Lloyd Price in Washington, D.C.
What about James Brown?
James Brown, I played at James Brown at Chicago, at the Regal, Theater.
Right. He was here recently. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know how many years he's been performing, but a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just had to try me. And then I had That's Something on Your Mind. It was both the same time.
Right. Now, who are these pictures of? This is
That's
Dizzy McPherson?
That's the Big J McNeely.
Jay McNeely.
Okay. It was three brothers of them. All of them passed except him.
And did he perform with you on your big hit?
That's who I was with.
Is that right? Tell us about that. What's the name of the song?
There's Something on Your Mind.
Something on Your Mind.
By the way you look at me, can what you're thinking bring happiness? Or will it bring misery? No.
Now, I understand you got a gold record for that.
I got a half a gold record for that.
All right. Tell us about that.
Well, when we got to they had a thing back in those days, the cash box. You know, it rates your records.
Right.
Rate night record up. So they got in and said, well, what we gonna do with who gets the gold record? So Big J said,
Cut it in half.
cut it in half.
Right.
So here it is. Yeah.
Is Big J still around?
Yeah, we still working.
Is he playing?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Playing mostly overseas.
Sonny, can you show us some of these pictures that we have here? Give us some descriptions.
Well, this is Mr. Bobby Sachs, and I was with his band when I was in D.C., and we done a lot of shows and worked with different places. And He had Bobby Sachs and the Housekeepers.
Bobby Sachs and the Housekeepers. All right.
Right.
Is this you?
Yeah, this is me.
Wow.
And we was in Baltimore with Big J McNeely. See, they got this his horn there.
Right.
And the place, 25,000 people, $25 a head. Just as far as you was in the field, just as far as you could see. Looked like you could just walk right out there.
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling you, somebody made some money. But moving on.
Who else performed there?
They had sloppy. Had 4 bands. Had three white bands, and Big J and I had 3 white bands and another black band, and then Big J and I.
Right.
And then we played with one of the white bands. Yeah, 'cause he said, which one that you think sound the best? I said, it's up to you. You're a musician. I'm an entertainer. You know. He said, what about that? And I said, they can't groove. Let's try that one. So that's where we got started with. So we went on and did the show there. And this is when I had my band maybe about 5, 6 years ago. It wasn't bad. It was bad.
That show, There's Something on Your Mind.
That band.
And another picture.
And that's from Baltimore.
Sonny's going to be performing in Falls Church on June 7th at Tenner's Hill, located here on Route 29 near Fox's. Also, he's going to be at our concert in the park at Cherry Hill. That's going to be on Thursday, July 3rd. Sonny, it's a pleasure having you on the board here.
It was
Pleasure
nice
meeting you.
being around. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice.
buddy.
It's a pleasure being here.
Sometimes I would walk to and from the village along the roads, but I loved to walk the trails and alleys behind houses, through fields and woods. It just seemed more special.
Well, we're walking home on a trail today, going up the W&OD bike trail in Falls Church, Virginia. It's an interesting site that they built a bike bridge on. It's where a railroad used to cross Route 7 in what is known as West Falls Church. There was a railroad station here. The railroad was built in the beginning in the 1850s, and this was a stream bed that crossed right here, and they had to build it up quite a bit, and so it wouldn't be swampy. And they built a railroad bed and crossed the road, and they put a railroad station in here, West Falls Church Railroad Station, and that lasted for, well over a century, I guess. There's a sign right here at the W&OD bike trail that talks about that station. But right behind me we have a wonderful bike bridge, and it's going over Route 7, and there's quite a story behind it. And I have a gentleman right here, Mr. Craig Day, who had something to do with that. In fact, one night I got a call while eating dinner, and Craig said, well, Dave, I want you to get your daughter down here, Marta. She's 7 years old, and I would want to see if she'd be willing to testify in favor of this bike bridge, and the rest was history. Craig, welcome.
Thank you.
So, of the tens of thousands of things going on in this world, why did you pick as your life's work at this moment in time to have a bike bridge built over Route 7?
The West Broad Street Route 7 improvement plan was being debated, and they wanted to improve West Broad Street for traffic flow. And I went to look at the plan, and there was no accommodation for a bicycle bridge. I thought it was just blatantly...
Well, so what? Why would you need a bridge?
Because we have a heavy concentration of trail users crossing at grade. With this,
2 or 3 a year?
No, it was up to a million.
Oh.
We had accounts of 220 per hour in the weekends. So to me, safety is first, and I didn't want to see the kids at grade. We were going to try and improve the traffic and not doing anything for the safety of the children. And I just asked the government, the City of Falls Church, to add a bridge crossing.
I bet you they took kindly to that.
Well, they said that it's not possible.
Right.
Right. And there's
Wait,
no
it cost
money.
about $10,000?
Well, it was pushing more than that. Yeah. But
Add another zero and then
yeah,
another zero after
right.
that. Two
Well,
more.
ultimately, almost nearly $1 million.
Okay.
And but the actual structure only cost $220,000. But all the power lines and everything else had to be changed. But
Right.
the main thing was, it was a good idea, the time had come, but what needed was a mass of citizens to talk about it. And once the citizens of Falls Church, known for their participation, when they heard that there was that it was possible, they started saying it was a requirement. They wanted safe crossing, 100% safety for their kids.
Well, why
and
not
keep
put something underneath it?
Well-
Underneath a tunnel, Mike?
Yes, the tunnels were deemed to be unsafe because you can hide things in there. It's just not a safe and secure
Okay.
facility. But the overpass is less expensive, and it would also allow people to get across and keep the traffic moving on Route 7.
Keep the traffic moving.
Right,
Okay,
yes.
good. Okay, well, that's good. Well, you know what's interesting on this story, because I did happen to observe this, is it's the power of one person in making something happen. I mean, you took something that was a non-issue. I mean, even though it was a terrible safety issue, but nobody recognized it. You recognized it, and you brought it forward. Now, did you just ask people once and then it happened?
No.
Oh.
It was a study of American citizen participation. You have an accessible city government, city council, at least in Falls Church. Every 2 weeks you have petition period.
Yeah.
And so you can bring it up there and they have to dispose of it. And fortunately, it was open. The council had individual members that were willing to listen. And then you started bringing along, I asked other citizens to talk to other boards and commissions, and we just kept reminding
Pounding.
the idea,
Right, yeah, right,
yes.
yeah.
But we did it politely, but we also, for me, I did a lot of praying about it too. That was this was not just by myself.
Okay. Well, there was a lot of people that came in, but you were the captain of this whole thing, and you really made it happen. And then it came time to pay the piper. It was about a $1 million project, and everybody started backing off. And so we needed somebody embedded in the government to to make this happen. And I think a gentleman named Barry Bushell came along to your service and helped you right at the right moment. And Craig, I want to thank you. We're going to take a little walk up the bridge in a few minutes, but good job.
Oh, thank
it's something
you.
to be proud in your life about. You know, and it's nice to have something to say, "Yep, that's right, I did it."
With a lot of help.
Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Well, we're sitting here in West End Park, founded by Harry English many years ago, and right next to the bike trail, I'm here with Barry Bushell, who picked up the ball, was handed off the ball by Craig Day, and I guess a guy named Bill Silverman from the Washington Area Bicyclists Association. And somebody had to carry the ball and get all the politicians and the agencies to recognize the importance of building this bridge. And Barry was the man who did it. He was fresh onto the Northern Virginia Regional Park Authority board, and you were a total greenhorn, didn't know what you were doing.
Still don't.
And you were handed this ball. It's like, get me a bridge, and you did that. And I don't understand how, especially a novice on the board in these very complex politics, could have made something as relatively complex, controversial, and expensive, and even good as this happened. I mean, in a nutshell, how did you make it happen?
Well, as Craig mentioned, safety was a major consideration for him, and also on the Regional Park Authority, safety is a major concern for them. So I could take that factor and work the issue of it being a regionally significant feature.
Why is it regional?
Well, over 2 million users, bicyclists, joggers, rollerbladers, transverse that bridge every day. Before the bridge was built...
I mean, every day or every year?
I mean, every year, excuse me.
Yeah.
Before that bridge was built, they literally had to go along Broad Street, go on the sidewalk, cross Broad Street, go up the sidewalk, and get back on the trail. There were a couple...
And most didn't.
Yeah, there were a couple of incidents where there was accidents occurred. Right. Since we've had this bridge for 10 years now, we've had no incidences, no safety concerns, and it's just been a wonderful feature. So I use that angle of it being regionally significant and a major safety factor for this part of the town to work with the board members and to get them to fund the money that we needed to finish financing the bridge.
Well, it wasn't that easy, Barry. Come on, no, it was not that easy. You had a lot of groups you had to work with. It wasn't just one board. You had to work with what? The City of Falls Church, right?
Well, Craig Day did most of the work with the City of Falls Church. He really got them on board with that project.
But they wouldn't fund it.
Well, they put $100,000 into it. The state of Virginia originally gave us, I think, about $500,000, which they ended up, by the time we got to the project, rescinded most of that money. Virginia Power did a lot of work to heighten the power lines so that the bridge could go underneath it. And then the Park Authority ended up with about $500,000 of the project itself that it had to fund.
Wow.
So convincing the other board members that this was a regionally significant and a safety factor to spend that money. And park money is hard to come by, let me tell you.
Yeah.
That was the work I did, but I was fresh, had a lot of energy, and I was also a bicycle enthusiast.
And you didn't know how hard the work was.
And I didn't. I just went into it, and we got it done. So.
Well, that's great. Well, then it is a little more complicated. You're making it, but Craig said he started in 1988 with the concept. You picked up the ball in about 1990, is that right? And worked all the different agencies and governments, and then it was built, and that was an experience to watch too. How long did that take from the approval to the final building of it?
Right. Well, actually, it was a prefabricated bridge, so it actually came up from Alabama in 2 sections.
Okay.
So all of the abutment work was done literally in a couple of months. The fabrication of the bridge took about six months, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So in about a year's time, it came together.
Okay.
And the news press, as you might remember, featured it Broad Street Bridged.
Yeah, that is great. I remember that.
One of its issues, and
they had a picture of Craig and my daughter throwing a penny into the cement as they were doing it. Right. Then they held a dedication here.
Yeah, October 3rd, 1992.
Okay, and there's a plaque right over here that shows that.
Right.
And I think we have some footage of that. There were a lot of people who came to that, is that right?
Yeah, it was very well attended, and a lot of dignitaries, and it really grew into a regionally significant event just because of that.
And it was a very exciting thing to go over this bridge the first time. I mean, it was almost like going to a wedding.
Right.
It was really, everybody wanted to go over that bridge.
Right.
And, it was a big family event and community event to do that. Now it's 10 years later, and this was a major thing that you worked on and have accomplished. Now you're an old timer on the board of the Regional Park Authority. How do you look back on this, and when you sit here and look at the bridge, what do you feel?
Well, now I'm the chairman of the Trails Committee for the Park Authority. So I'm the head of the committee that oversees the WNOD Trail, and I can just say that all of the features on the WNOD, including this bridge, there's 32 other bridges along the trail, just added to the safety of all the users. There are virtually no incidences every year on our trail because of the way it's maintained and allowing for the safe use for all users, rollerbladers, bikers, hikers, joggers, you name it. So I'm very happy, and I can say that this was the right solution. And it took a lot of work to get people to understand that, but once they used it for the first time, they understood how regionally significant and how safe they were transversing a very, very trafficked Route 7.
Well, as a 10-year user of the bridge, I want to thank you
for
doing
you,
that,
Dave.
Barry.
Sure.
Take care.
One of the most interesting things to me is that right in the middle of Falls Church, right in the middle of one of the fastest urbanizing areas anywhere, we have magnificent old houses and trees, beautiful music still in homes and on the streets, marvelous places to gather, and trails to return home on. It makes me wonder why these wonderful qualities of village life remain here in Falls Church.